Well, here we are mastering the minor arcana, and we're talking about the 5 and 6 of Pentacles. Let's get started with this pair who kind of seems like they're at opposite ends, but it all kind of comes together. So stick with me. Here we are with the 5 of Pentacles, which, as you can see, speaks about challenges, perceived ones and real ones. It's linked to the zodiac sign of Taurus, so it's about value, self-worth, and physical comfort. Taurus love their comfort. It's ruled by the planetary sign of Mercury, which highlights how mindset, perception, and communication shapes our experience during difficult times. And this card does reflect, as you can tell by the picture, lack and hardship, the feeling of being left out of the cold, unsupported. But it's not just about what's missing. It's about what you feel is possible during times of struggle, times of difficulty. We all go through those at some point. So are you open to support, to asking for help, or are you closed off by shame, pride, fear? We go through things in life, financial stress, isolation, illness. It's all represented in this 5 of Pentacles. But sometimes it's about perceiving that's what's going on. Maybe it's thinking that support is just for other people and you have to go through something yourself, or that asking for help feels like a failure. But the 5 of Pentacles isn't about punishment, or it's not about predicting something that's happening. It's about perception. Yes, challenges and struggles are real. We all go through it. But what's also real, and we don't know this until we go through the struggles, is that there's connection and support, and more importantly, finding a sense of compassion and understanding. And that's seen in this card here. The person isn't alone. Misery loves company. That's another way of looking at it. But there's some bright lights coming through that window that looks like it's a stained glass window from a church. So there's always something to be hopeful for. But what trips people up is thinking that everything has to be fixed before they're allowed to receive something. But you don't have to go it alone. You're allowed to soften. You're allowed to ask. The shadow side of this card, if it wasn't shadowy already, is in getting caught up in stories of scarcity, believing that a struggle is permanent. But that's just closing the door on any help trying to come in. And sometimes it's because of fear or pride. But that 5 of Pentacles is a nudge to look again. See, they're about to walk past. They don't see the warm light in the window welcoming them in, because support may be closer than you understand. But you have to be willing to look. You have to be willing to know you're worthy of receiving it. Look around. I'm sure there's a lifeline, a light on, letting you ask for assistance. All right, let's move on to the 6 of Pentacles. This is about energetic balance. It's also tied to Taurus, and the planetary influence of the moon brings a natural cycle to your physical world, much like the phases of the moon. This card explores the balance of giving and receiving. You can see one person has their hand out, the other person is receiving something. It also invites you to look a little closer at generosity and boundaries and that flow of energy in your everyday life. Whether it's offering a helping hand or it's being willing to receive it or even ask for it. The 6 of Pentacles asks you to honor your own integrity and your own capacity to be the receiver or the giver. And it's not just about money. It's about other resources like time, energy, attention. I really like to be able to give you this broader look at what the general meanings of these minor arcana cards are. I used to think Pentacles was just about money and finances, but as you can see, there's so much more. All of the suits are deeper, aren't they? Oh, before I forget, let me give the password so you can download the play sheets for this 5 and 6 of Pentacles. It's the word receive. All lowercase letters. That's what you need to unlock the play sheets. And if you're new to Mastering the Minor Arcana, you can watch the entire playlist. There'll be a link at the end of this video. And if you want the play sheets, you gotta sign up, and the link's in the description. All right, let's get back to this 6 of Pentacles. So sometimes you're the giver, sometimes you're the receiver, or sometimes you're the one not receiving anything. You're the waiter. But everything requires grace. And with giving and receiving, there's always opportunity for growth. This card might show up if you're overgiving or it feels awkward to receive because maybe you feel guilty, unworthy, or afraid there's strings attached. So looking at the shadow side, it's either proving your worth by overgiving or feeling that receiving is your entitlement. It can show up when you feel you need to balance things out with someone. You know, someone offers to buy you lunch and then you're like, oh, I'll get you next time, instead of just gracefully receiving it and not needing to give that back to someone, you know, unless they asked. But the Six of Pentacles reminds you that true generosity comes from a place of abundance, not obligation. And by the way, receiving means being open, not passive, though. You know, being open means allow yourself to receive what's offered, but being passive means you're not intentional or present. You need to recognize the value in what you're receiving instead of just taking it for granted. I mean, I don't mean you specifically, but when this card comes up, these are some things to consider. Ultimately, the Six of Pentacles reminds us to keep the flow of energy moving. Whether it's giving or receiving, it's circulation. When we overgive or withhold, the flow gets blocked. We need to let the energy flow between this and that. Because remember, the Pentacles are about our physical world and how we interact with it. So we have to be willing to be a little more pliable. That's what I really feel this Six of Pentacles is talking about. All right. Well, that's it for this video. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.